And we're recording. Hello, YouTube. This is Aaron Morrington. Um, so, I want to talk about what everyone thinks about this Tier 0 format for Yu Gi Oh! And I was doing a lot of research recently, and I figured out not only a package, but its greatest weakness and why it's not a Tier 0. So, we'll go with the package first. So on screen on Yu-Gi-Oh! Nexus, we have three Keldo, two Medora, three Kelbeck, and one Exchange of the Spirit. If you're running these cards either in your main or your side deck, and around this type of numbers, you will find a lot of success against them because your opponent is making you mill cards on purpose because they want to get further in their deck. Well, that's unfortunately milling your deck. With these cards, you're able to quick effect target cards back in either player's grave and put them back into the deck. And when tier elements are activating, they must be placed to the bottom with their own effect, not just shuffled into the deck, like these Medora and Keldo's effects. They're going to interrupt them into such a way that they cannot play. So they'll mill for no reason. They would just have a monster on board. And then the Kelbeck, the reason why we're running this is because we're going to be running trap cards that, um, you know, normal trap cards that players would use. So, like, um, D Barrier, Solemn, um, whatever. Evenly matched. We can put that face down if we have an exchange of the spirit. Now, for most decks, it's best to have a foolish barrel of goods or a means to get it to the graveyard outside of its own, but it does help with running Keldo. Keldo lets you add it to your hand, and then if you discard it for any means like um, forbidden droplets, card destruction, or just have that card be discarded for like other costs, like nightmare cards. They're going to, or Splight can use them for the runic fusion monsters. It will trigger all of those effects um, and allow you to have interruption while it's your opponent's turn. So your interruptions can't activate. But that's not the point. The point is that when it comes your turn, you're set up, and that the opponent doesn't mill you that much on your turn. And even if so, you don't lose if you deck out. If your opponent decks out and you pass turn, they'll lose. And with Necro Valley being a prominent card, um, and Dweller, that deck is not a tier 0. It has the power of a tier 1, but quite honestly, it set it back almost to like a tier 2. It's not that great of a combo, and the mirror match on its own with these being in that equation, it is not going to bold well. You set up your chain links and you return things. Um, the more of these that you have, the more interruption you will have for your opponent, and it'll be worse off for them. Um, so decks that can do things outside of this, a lot of graveyard-based decks, are going to storm the field a lot stronger than Tearelement. Tier Element actually is not a graveyard effect deck. It sends cards to the grave, but not anywhere near like Burning Abyss or Shaddolls or anything like that. Those decks will receive a lot more power than the tier elements because they activate and they don't need to stay engraved to resolve after they activated. Um, and that is that for that. Um, Obviously, the more cards that you're running, the better it's going to be for you. Um, and this package is a pretty small package. I do this in extreme. You don't really need that many. I do one or two for my own. So when you're doing a sideboard of 8 cards, that's pretty reasonable, especially if you're thinking that your regional is or higher level event or your locals is going to have a lot of this tier element Isizu. This Isizu package, either main or side, will give you the fighting edge that you will need to be on top. You should not be losing the matchup against them. Um, Mystic Mind players can run this, and that's what I'm afraid of. So, have fun, keep it saucy, and see you next time.